Marcus wakes before dawn in his modest apartment high above the bustling streets of the futuristic city. The soft hum of hover cars and distant chatter fills the air as he sips his coffee in silence, though his eyes hold a calm determination. A storm of memories lingers beneath his composed exterior. Once, he had been a Delta Force commander, a warrior, whose stealth and valor turned the tide in covert operations. Now, he lives a life of quiet routine, hiding the heroism of his past beneath a gentle smile. As he gazes out the window, the city below reminds him that the world has changed, yet echoes of his secret battles still whisper in the dark corners of his mind. At his feet, Shadow, his loyal dog with soulful eyes and a gentle demeanor, pads over softly. "Good morning, boy," Marcus murmurs, scratching the animal's head affectionately. Shadow's presence brings warmth and a touch of innocence to Marcus's life, a living reminder of unconditional loyalty. In the soft glow of the morning light, the bond between man and animal feels timeless. Shadow's wagging tail and quiet companionship anchor Marcus, soothing the echoes of old conflicts and reminding him that even in a world of chaos, love endures. Their silent exchange speaks volumes, a wordless promise that no matter how dark the world may become, hope and loyalty will always guide him forward. Stepping out onto the busy streets, Marcus is enveloped by the vibrant energy of a city that never sleeps. Towering skyscrapers crowned with digital billboards cast kaleidoscopic reflections on wet pavement. Advanced technology weaves through every aspect of life, from the self-driving trams gliding along neon-lit tracks to drones monitoring the sky for any sign of trouble. Yet beneath this dazzling display of modernity, remnants of old-world tension simmer. Overzealous police forces patrol the streets in armored hover vehicles, their presence a stark reminder of an undercurrent of corruption and control. As Marcus walks amidst this blend of high-tech marvels and age-old strife, he senses both wonder and foreboding. The city, for all its splendor, is a living testament to humanity's resilience and its vulnerability. In a quiet moment between the city's relentless pulse, Marcus retreats into his thoughts. He recalls distant memories of battle, where every decision was a matter of life and death. The precision and discipline of his Delta Force days clash with his current desire for peace. "I gave everything for my country once," he whispers to himself, his voice heavy with both pride and regret. Now, the weight of his past presses on him like an unyielding force. Every shadow in the alleys, every glint of reflective metal, seems to call him back to a time when his skills were needed for survival. Yet he forces himself to remain restrained, channeling his inner turmoil into quiet determination. The dormant warrior within him is ready if only the call to action grows loud enough to shatter the calm. As the day unfolds, subtle signs of unrest ripple through the urban landscape. A distant siren wails, a sound that has become all too familiar, and news flashes on public screens hint at growing societal tensions and unchecked authority. In the stillness of an early afternoon lull, Marcus senses that this fragile peace may soon be disrupted. The air is heavy with anticipation, as if the city itself holds its breath. For a brief moment he pauses on a busy corner, the weight of his secret past and the burden of his concealed skills mingling with the mounting chaos around him. Though the day seems ordinary to others, Marcus knows that beneath the veneer of routine lies a storm, waiting to break, a storm that could shatter the delicate balance between order and rebellion. With Shadow by his side, Marcus steps forward into the thrumming heart of the city. Each footstep echoes the silent promise of change. His inner conflict, the memories of battles fought in secrecy, and the subtle tensions of a society on the brink of transformation all converge into a single, defining moment. Unbeknownst to the world around him, his quiet life is about to collide with forces far greater than he can imagine. In that moment of calm before the impending storm, Marcus braces himself, knowing that the time for hidden heroics is drawing near, and that every choice he makes will ripple through the futuristic urban jungle he calls home. In the fading light of dusk, the city's neon glow danced off rain-soaked streets as Marcus strolled home with his loyal companion, Shadow. The air buzzed with the hum of futuristic hover cars and distant chatter, a familiar symphony in his near-future urban world. Tonight, however, a cold unease lay beneath the routine, a premonition that fate was about to shatter his fragile peace. Without warning, a squad of overzealous police officers, clad in sleek, high-tech armor and wielding intimidating energy batons, descended upon a quiet alley. Their faces, masked by tinted visors and hardened by authority, betrayed no mercy. Marcus, startled by the sudden commotion, clutched Shadow closer as the officers advanced. In a heartbeat, a single misinterpreted movement, an innocent bark, a flash of fur ignited the officer's brutal response. "Cease movement," barked the lead officer, his voice cold and mechanical. Before Marcus could react, the officers opened fire with their stun rounds. The air exploded with a blinding flash and a resounding crack, and Shadow, the gentle beacon of loyalty, was struck down. Time slowed as Marcus watched in horror, his heart shattering as his beloved companion collapsed onto the rain-slick pavement. The raw injustice of that moment pierced through the fabric of his soul, a stark, brutal reminder that in this futuristic metropolis, technology and power could override human decency in an instant. Marcus fell to his knees, tears mingling with the rain as the officers, unmoved by the tragedy they had wrought, retreated into the night. The neon lights blurred into a haze of sorrow, and every siren in the distance echoed the sound of his loss. In that heart-wrenching instant, the delicate balance between order and chaos was shattered. The loss of Shadow was not merely the end of a loyal friend. It was the spark that would ignite a dormant fury within him, a fury that had lain silent since his days as a Delta Force commander. The night seemed to freeze around Marcus as he cradled Shadow's lifeless form. His trembling fingers brushed over the soft fur, each touch a desperate attempt to cling to the warmth that was now gone forever. "No, this can't be happening," he whispered hoarsely, his voice echoing in the emptiness of the dark alley. A searing mix of grief and rage coursed through his veins, transforming sorrow into a burning desire for retribution. In the solitude of that moment, memories of past valor surged forth like a tidal wave. Marcus remembered the precision and resolve of his Delta Force days, the discipline, the unwavering focus under fire, the sacrifices made in the name of justice. Now, every memory was laced with the anguish of betrayal. The injustice was not just against him, but against every soul that believed in a system meant to protect the innocent. Determined, Marcus slowly rose to his feet, his eyes hardening with a resolve born of heartbreak. "They have taken more than just a life tonight," he murmured, his tone a mixture of sorrow and fierce determination. The quiet night air seemed to throb with anticipation as he vowed, not only to avenge Shadow but to expose the corruption that allowed such brutality to flourish. His grief, raw and unfiltered, had unlocked a dormant warrior, a side of him that had long been forced into the shadows. The city around him, oblivious to his inner turmoil, continued its ceaseless hum of life. Yet, for Marcus, everything had changed. In that moment, every injustice he had witnessed, every betrayal by those in power, converged into a single, undeniable truth. Something had to change, and he would be the one to spark that change. His call to vengeance was not born of blind anger, but of a deep, moral imperative, a quest to reclaim honor, to restore balance in a world overrun by cruelty. As Marcus walked away from the scene, the chill of the night mixed with the fire in his heart. The police officer's ignorance of his true identity, a man once revered as a Delta Force commander, was about to become their undoing. Every step he took reawakened memories of clandestine missions and fierce battles fought in the shadows. His mind raced back to the days when his skills were honed on secret training grounds, when every decision was measured in split seconds, and every move could mean life or death. In the solitude of his journey, Marcus's inner voice grew louder. "I was built for moments like this," he thought, his resolve hardening with every passing second. The man he had become, a quiet, unassuming citizen, was merely a facade. Deep within him lay the lethal force of a soldier who had been forged in the crucible of combat, his every instinct sharpened by years of service and sacrifice. The neon-lit streets and futuristic skyline around him seemed to echo his transformation, as if the city itself recognized the awakening of a hidden power. Holographic billboards flickered with images of legendary heroes from ages past. His pulse quickened, the dormant warrior was stirring, fueled by a potent blend of grief, guilt, and righteous fury. In that moment, every injustice, every corrupt act by those in power, ignited a spark that had lain dormant for far too long. He clenched his fist, feeling the weight of his secret past and the burden of responsibility it carried. "No more hiding," Marcus declared softly to himself, determination radiating from his eyes. His transformation was complete, a call to arms reverberated through his soul, urging him to reclaim his lost honor and unleash the full extent of his deadly capabilities. Tonight, the quiet citizen would rise as the formidable force he was meant to be, ready to challenge a corrupt system with every fiber of his being. In the aftermath of that tragic night, the ripples of Shadow's loss extended far beyond Marcus's personal grief. The incident, stark and unyielding in its cruelty, served as a catalyst for systemic change, a glaring indictment of a society where advanced technology and unchecked power could crush the spirit of the innocent. As Marcus melded with the shadows of the urban labyrinth, he began to piece together the intricate web of corruption that lay at the heart of his city. Every whispered conversation in dimly lit corners, every furtive glance exchanged on rain-drenched streets, spoke of a network of deceit at government and law enforcement that operated with impunity. Marcus knew that this was no isolated act of brutality. It was part of a much larger, sinister pattern. Determined to expose the truth, he resolved to gather evidence and allies, to ignite a spark that would challenge the oppressive regime from within. Late into the night, under the flicker of neon lights and the hum of futuristic surveillance drones, Marcus convened clandestine meetings with former comrades, disillusioned officers, and everyday citizens brave enough to dream of change. In these secret gatherings, trust was hard won and betrayal lurked in every shadow. Yet, the shared resolve to dismantle the corrupt hierarchy forged alliances that transcended old divisions. During one hushed conversation in an abandoned warehouse, a trusted friend confided, "We cannot allow this tyranny to continue unchecked. Your actions tonight, your loss, they've lit a fire in all of us." The words resonated deeply with Marcus, affirming his belief that the personal tragedy was intertwined with a greater moral battle. His quest for justice was no longer about avenging one fallen life, it was about igniting a revolution, about reclaiming dignity for every oppressed soul. As dawn threatened the horizon, Marcus stood atop a crumbling rooftop, surveying the awakening city below. The sprawling metropolis, with its blend of awe-inspiring technology and crumbling ideals, was on the brink of transformation. In that silent moment of reflection, he vowed that no matter the cost, he would lead the charge against corruption. His mission was clear: to dismantle a broken system and pave the way for a future where humanity's resilience and ingenuity could shine as beacons of hope. The stakes had never been higher, and Marcus was ready to wage a war not just for revenge, but for justice and the promise of a new dawn. Marcus stepped out into the rain-soaked streets, his heart still heavy with loss. The neon glow of the city painted the slick pavement in electric hues, while the hum of distant hover cars and buzzing drones created a futuristic symphony around him. Tonight, every raindrop felt like a ticking clock counting down to reckoning. With Shadow's memory seared into his mind, he knew there was no time for hesitation. As he walked, his internal voice, low and resolute, echoed, "I must find the truth behind this corruption." The familiar weight of his Delta Force past stirred within him, each step awakening hidden skills honed for moments like these. Marcus paused beneath a flickering holographic billboard advertising high-tech security services, and in that instant, he vowed to use every ounce of his past training to expose the system that had so brutally extinguished the one loyal soul he cherished. He activated a discreet communicator built into his watch, a relic of old covert operations subtly upgraded for this new age. "I'm in motion," he murmured into the device, his voice steady despite the storm raging inside him. "I need every scrap of intel you have on the incident. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us." In his mind, visions of past covert missions flashed: covert infiltration, silent takedowns, and strategic retreats. The tools of tomorrow: advanced scanning drones, encrypted communication networks melded with the gritty resolve of his training. The city itself seemed to lean in, as if acknowledging his determination to ignite change. As he turned a corner into a darker alley, a mix of awe and tension filled him. The once familiar urban landscape now appeared as a labyrinth of secrets and hidden dangers. Each shadow could hide an enemy or a clue, and Marcus braced himself for the path ahead, knowing that his investigation had just begun. The calm before the storm had ended. Now was the time to unleash the dormant warrior inside. In the solitude of his brisk stride, Marcus's thoughts spiraled back to his past. He remembered the harsh drills, the relentless training, and the camaraderie that had defined his days as a Delta Force commander. The memory was vivid, a sweltering training ground where sweat mixed with determination, where every challenge was met with unyielding resolve. He recalled the crisp command of his sergeant's voice: "Move out, soldiers. We are the shield that stands between chaos and order." The battlefield of his memories was painted with bravery and sacrifice. Every covert operation, every split-second decision, had been a lesson in survival and honor. Those days taught him that strength was not measured solely by physical might, but by the heart's capacity to endure and the spirit's will to fight for justice. As Marcus moved forward through the urban rain, his inner dialogue was punctuated by these flashbacks. "I was built for these moments," he thought, remembering the cold precision of night raids and the silent communication shared among brothers in arms. Each recollection was a spark that fueled his resolve. The memories were bittersweet, a reminder of what he had lost and what he still had to fight for. His hidden past, now resurfacing, imbued him with the tactical brilliance and raw determination necessary to stand against injustice. In that reverie, he realized that his experiences were not just relics of a bygone era, They were tools he could wield to dismantle the corrupt system that had stolen his peace. Every battle fought and every scar earned now served as a testament to his unbreakable will. Determined to transform personal grief into a force for systemic change, Marcus sought allies who could stand with him against the rising tide of corruption. His first stop was a dimly lit underground cafe tucked away in a forgotten sector of the city, a place where those who questioned the status quo gathered. There, in the soft glow of vintage neon, he met Malik, a former military comrade whose eyes burned with the same fierce determination Marcus once possessed. Marcus Malik greeted, voice low and steady, as they shook hands firmly. "I heard about what happened. I've been waiting for you to call." Their conversation was punctuated by the low hum of secretive whispers and the clatter of futuristic machinery in the background. Malak pulled out a small holo device, its screen flickering with intercepted communications and coded messages from other disillusioned citizens. Next, Marcus met Detective Lila, an unorthodox officer whose internal battles against systemic corruption had driven her to work undercover. In a quiet corner of a bustling market filled with vibrant street vendors and holographic signs, she slid into the booth across from him. "I've seen too much injustice in this city," she confessed, her voice trembling with both anger and hope. "There are forces at work that go beyond what you can imagine." "I'm with you, Marcus." In a hushed, determined tone, Marcus explained his plan to expose the network of deceit that had cost him dearly. "We have to unite," he said, his eyes burning with passion. "Our strength lies not only in our pasts, but in our ability to forge new bonds." The table was filled with nods, each ally a vital piece in the puzzle of rebellion. Amid their planning, they used advanced communication tools, encrypted messages, and drone scouts to gather evidence of corruption. The digital maps displayed on their devices revealed a sprawling network of clandestine meetings and covert transactions. Every detail, every pixel of data, was a building block in their quest for justice. As they parted ways that night, a shared understanding united them, a commitment to risk everything for the sake of a greater cause. The air was charged with anticipation and the promise of change. In their unity, Marcus found not just allies, but the hope that together, they could challenge the dark underbelly of a futuristic society. The next phase of Marcus's journey plunged him into the heart of a labyrinthine conspiracy. His investigations led him to the towering headquarters of the city's Security Council, a monolithic structure of reflective glass and cold steel that loomed over the urban sprawl like a silent sentinel. As he infiltrated the building under the cover of darkness, every corridor, every locked door whispered secrets of a corrupt regime. Inside, Marcus encountered bureaucratic red tape in the form of encrypted documents and labyrinthine data streams. He moved with the stealth of a seasoned warrior, his every step echoing with the memories of his Delta Force missions. Suddenly, the familiar buzz of high-tech surveillance drones filled the hall. "Not now," he muttered under his breath, ducking into a shadowy alcove. His heart pounded as he realized the extent of the corruption. This was not an isolated incident, but a systemic rot. In the midst of his clandestine operations, Betrayal struck like lightning. A figure he had long trusted, a former informant and friend, emerged from the darkness, eyes cold and calculating. "Marcus, you shouldn't have come here," the traitor hissed. In that split second, the betrayal stung more than any physical blow. The trusted ally, whose information had once guided him, was now working for the very system Marcus sought to dismantle. A fierce skirmish erupted in the narrow corridor. Marcus ducked behind a row of futuristic lockers as energy bolts sizzled past him. His training kicked in. With precise, deliberate movements, he disarmed the traitor and subdued him. "I trusted you," he spat, his voice a mix of anger and hurt, as the betrayal cut deeper than any blade. The encounter left him shaken, yet resolute. He realized that the battle against corruption was as much about navigating treacherous human hearts as it was about confronting high-tech enemies. Every narrow escape and every coded message retrieved served as a grim reminder of the system's pervasive deceit. The oppressive corridors of power were riddled with pitfalls, each one a testament to a society that prized control over justice. With each step deeper into the maze, Marcus's resolve hardened. The encounter not only exposed the extent of the betrayal but also crystallized his determination to dismantle the corrupt hierarchy. The dark underbelly of the futuristic city was illuminated by the sparks of resistance, and Marcus vowed that no further treachery would derail his quest. Later that night, in the solitude of an abandoned safe house, Marcus sat alone, the only light coming from a flickering holoscreen displaying fragments of data. His mind wrestled with the raging tempest inside him. The desire for revenge burned fiercely, an instinct born from the loss of Shadow and the betrayal he had endured. Yet deep within him, the disciplined ethos of his Delta Force days whispered a counterbalance, Justice must be served, not blind vengeance. He closed his eyes, and the memories of his training resurfaced. Honor, duty, sacrifice, these were the values that had once defined him. How do I honor Shadow's memory without losing myself to rage? He murmured, his voice heavy with inner turmoil. Each beat of his heart seemed to echo the weight of his moral dilemma. He realized that every brutal act of retribution might strip away the very humanity he was trying to protect. Marcus picked up a worn photograph from his past, a snapshot of him with his old unit. All smiles and camaraderie before the burdens of war had etched themselves into his features. The image reminded him that strength lay not just in physical prowess, but in the ability to rise above cruelty and despair. As dawn's pale light crept through the broken windows, Marcus made a silent vow. "I will be the shield against injustice," he declared softly. The path ahead would be fraught with tough choices, but he resolved to let honor guide his actions. In that quiet moment of self-reflection, the internal conflict began to settle. His quest for justice would be tempered with compassion, ensuring that the monster of vengeance would never consume him entirely. With his allies rallied and his purpose renewed, Marcus moved swiftly to prepare for the decisive confrontation. The city was alive with whispers of change, and every passing second brought him closer to the inevitable showdown. In a secret underground command center lit by pulsating holographic maps and data streams, he gathered his team for one final briefing. "We have limited time," Marcus announced, his voice firm as he outlined the plan. The room buzzed with nervous energy as advanced surveillance drones and encrypted communication channels were activated to track enemy movements. Each strategy was weighed with precision. Every detail was a matter of life and death. Outside, the rain had subsided, leaving the urban night cloaked in a tense, anticipatory silence. Marcus felt the pressure mounting, a ticking time bomb of risks that could either secure justice or plunge the city deeper into chaos. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, a spark of hope shone brightly. His allies, bonded by shared loss and unwavering resolve, stood ready to fight the darkness. As he adjusted his gear and checked his weapons, Marcus's eyes glimmered with determined defiance. The final preparations were complete. The battle for truth and reform was imminent, and every heartbeat resonated with the promise of a new dawn. In that charged moment, the future of a broken system and the hope of an entire city hung in the balance. The rain had finally ceased, leaving the city cloaked in a tense, eerie silence. Marcus stood atop the shattered remains of an abandoned high-rise, his eyes scanning the sprawling urban battlefield below. Neon reflections danced on slick surfaces as he prepared for the ultimate confrontation, a showdown against the corrupt officers who had so carelessly shattered his world. Below, in the heart of a derelict industrial district repurposed as a government stronghold, the officers gathered. Their armored silhouettes moved with cold precision, their advanced energy shields glinting under flickering streetlights. Marcus's Delta Force instincts roared to life. His pulse quickened as he activated his customized ocular interface, overlaying tactical schematics on the environment. Every piece of data reminded him that tonight, the past and present would collide in a battle of honor and vengeance. Marcus whispered to himself, "This is it. For Shadow. For all of us." His voice, though soft, carried the weight of countless sacrifices. As he descended into the fray, his movements were a blend of agile grace and lethal efficiency, a dance honed over years of secret missions. Laser sights crisscrossed the air, energy pulses and the metallic clamor of combat filled the scene. Amid the chaos, Marcus moved like a ghost, his every step calculated, every breath measured. In the midst of the confrontation, the lead officer, a towering figure in gleaming futuristic armor, spotted Marcus. "Halt. Identify yourself," he bellowed, his tone both menacing and robotic. For a moment, time seemed to slow as Marcus's mind raced back to memories of covert training, to a life where every decision had been a matter of survival. He raised his voice, steady and resolute. "On the reckoning you never saw coming." The battle erupted. Marcus charged forward, his hands moving swiftly to disarm an officer with a fluid combination of martial arts and tactical precision. Sparks flew as energy shields shattered under his calculated strikes. The air was thick with tension, every move punctuated by the hum of advanced technology colliding with raw, human determination. Amid the cacophony, Marcus's eyes burned with a fierce intensity, a man reborn from grief and tempered by relentless duty. In one breathtaking moment, as he leaped over a barrier, Marcus activated a hidden device on his wrist. Drones, programmed in secret during his Delta Force days, swarmed in from the darkened alleys. They circled the officers, disrupting their communications and causing momentary disarray. The officers faltered, and in that split second, Marcus's fury became the catalyst for chaos. Your system ends tonight. Marcus roared, his voice resonating like a battle cry across the deserted street. The clash of metal, the burst of energy blasts, and the furious rhythm of his heartbeat merged into one symphony of defiance. Every blow he struck was imbued with the memory of his lost companion, and every advance was a declaration of his unyielding spirit. As the chaos reached its fevered pitch, a sudden lull descended over the battlefield. Marcus found himself standing before the lead officer, whose once intimidating mask now revealed a flicker of uncertainty. In that charged silence, Marcus felt the crushing weight of choice pressing down on him. The rush of combat faded into an inner storm of moral deliberation. For a fleeting moment he paused. Revenge or justice? The thought echoed in his mind. Every instinct screamed for ruthless retribution. Each memory of Shadow's final moments fueled the fire of his anger. Yet, the disciplined teachings of his Delta Force past whispered a different path, one where true honor lay in measured justice, not blind vengeance. Marcus's voice softened as he addressed the officer. Tell me, is this what you intended? To crush the innocent under the guise of duty? The question hung heavy in the air, laced with both sorrow and righteous indignation. His eyes, steeled with determination, searched the man before him, seeking any trace of humanity behind the mask. In that heartbeat, the battlefield transformed into a crucible of ethical struggle. Marcus recalled the sacrifices of his comrades, the values they had sworn to uphold. Was his burning need for revenge worth sacrificing the very ideals he had once defended? The internal conflict waged as fiercely as the external battle, tearing at the seams of his soul. In the silent aftermath of that introspective moment, Marcus made his choice. With a measured exhale, he lowered his weapon slightly, a symbol of restraint amid overwhelming fury. Justice, he declared, his tone resolute yet tinged with melancholy. For the fallen, and for the future of all who trust and hope. That single word, spoken in defiance of his darker impulses, echoed through the night, a beacon of his true purpose. No sooner had Marcus embraced his path of justice than the battlefield shifted into a frenzy of renewed violence. The atmosphere crackled with unpredictable energy as the officers regrouped, and one of them, a lithe figure with an almost human finesse, revealed a shocking secret. Marcus, the officer hissed through the tumult, you don't know who you're really fighting. The words struck like a lightning bolt, and in that moment, a hidden connection to the very corruption Marcus sought to dismantle was unveiled. The combat intensified. Marcus, now on high alert, wove through the melee with an elegance born of years in the field. Every dodge, every counter-strike was executed with a precision that left his foes reeling. He utilized every futuristic advantage at his disposal: the kinetic boosters in his suit, the reactive armor that absorbed blows, and the synchronized drones that acted as his eyes and ears in the chaos. In one electrifying encounter, as an officer lunged with a plasma baton, Marcus sidestepped, countering with a well-timed strike that sent the attacker sprawling. You've betrayed your own, Marcus shouted, the edge in his voice revealing both betrayal and shock. The revelation that one of the officers had been complicit in the corruption shook him to his core. This unexpected twist turned the battlefield into a chessboard of trust and treachery, where every move could be fatal. A rapid succession of close-quarters skirmishes ensued. Amid the clash of futuristic weaponry and desperate survival tactics, Marcus's tactical brilliance shone through. He combined elements of stealth with aggressive assaults, using the environment a maze of broken glass, flickering holograms, and rusted metal structures to his advantage. Every maneuver was a calculated risk, a heartbeat away from potential doom. Between clashes, terse exchanges punctuated the din of battle. Your time is up, one officer bellowed as Marcus deflected a high-powered energy blast. We fight for order, countered another, their voices a stark reminder of the ideological chasm that separated them. Marcus's retorts, laced with both defiance and sorrow, cut through the chaos. Order that kills the innocent is not order at all, it's tyranny. As the skirmish reached a fevered climax, Marcus uncovered further layers of deception. Hidden documents flashed on a commandeered screen revealed the full extent of the corruption, implicating not only the officers but high-ranking officials as well. The discovery fueled his resolve, adding another dimension to his battle, a fight against a system that had forsaken its people. Amid the unpredictable twists, the clash of metal and energy grew ever more intense. Marcus, embodying both raw emotion and tactical genius, pushed forward with every ounce of strength he had. The world around him blurred into a vortex of sound and motion, each moment a battle between light and dark, truth and treachery. The battlefield pulsed with tension, every second stretching into an eternity as Marcus carved a path toward redemption. At last, as the dust of conflict settled over the shattered urban expanse, A fragile silence fell. Marcus stood alone amidst the wreckage of corruption, his chest heaving with exertion and emotion. The corrupt officers lay subdued, their advanced tech dimmed by the uprising of a single determined soul. Yet, victory bore a heavy price. The revelation of betrayal and the loss of countless comrades, both seen and unseen, weighed on his heart. In the midst of his triumph, Marcus surveyed the battleground with a mixture of relief and sorrow. The air, still charged with the remnants of energy blasts and clashing steel, was now filled with a quiet resolve. "This isn't the end," he murmured softly, the words carrying the weight of all he had lost and all he still hoped to reclaim. His mind replayed the faces of those who had fought beside him and those whose sacrifices had paved the way for this moment. A flicker of doubt mingled with determination as Marcus considered the future. The victory was undeniable, a moment of hard-won justice against a corrupt regime, but it was tempered by the realization that deeper shadows still loomed. The battle had unveiled the system's rot, yet the path to complete reform remained treacherous and uncertain. As he gathered the surviving allies around him, Marcus knew that their fight was far from over. "We've won a battle," he declared, his voice resolute despite the underlying grief, "but the war against injustice continues. Today we reclaim hope. Tomorrow we rebuild our world." His words, carrying both the fire of vengeance and the warmth of compassion, resonated with every heart present. In that bittersweet moment of victory, the city itself seemed to exhale a collective sigh of relief mingled with apprehension. The neon lights flickered uncertainly, as if acknowledging that while the corrupt forces had been struck down, the road to lasting change would be long and fraught with new challenges. Marcus looked to the horizon, where dawn was breaking over a battered yet unbowed city, and he knew that his quest for justice had only just begun. In the cool light of early dawn, the city began to stir with a renewed pulse. Marcus, now the reluctant beacon of a hard-fought victory, wandered through streets that had once echoed with the sounds of tyranny. Advanced holographic displays, once tools of control, now shimmered with messages of hope. As he walked past towering digital billboards, he saw communities reassembling in defiant celebration, a blend of street art and encoded calls for justice projected across once ominous skyscrapers. Every corner of the futuristic urban jungle bore the marks of transformation. Citizens emerged from their hidden sanctuaries, their eyes bright with cautious optimism. In bustling marketplaces where drones had once patrolled, people now gathered to share stories of resistance. A young girl, her face illuminated by the soft glow of a floating advertisement, shyly showed a drawing of Marcus as a hero. In quiet conversation, elders spoke of the past misdeeds of the corrupt regime, now unmasked, and of the new promise that innovation and unity could bring. Marcus's own journey through the ruins of systemic corruption had not been in vain. He recalled the sacrifices made, friends lost, and alliances forged in the crucible of rebellion. With each step he took, the city transformed further, the once oppressive digital grids now pulsing with life and creativity. Advanced technology had been repurposed, subtly reshaping society into one where transparency and compassion began to replace fear and control. Amid the fading neon and rising sunlight, a renewed spirit of resilience was palpable. In every reflective surface, from polished chrome to rain-washed concrete, the citizens saw a glimpse of their future. A future where humanity's creativity and collective will could overcome even the darkest systems of power. Later that evening, under a sky animated by digital constellations and soft holographic stars, Marcus found a quiet rooftop garden, a hidden haven in the heart of the city. Here, the chaos of battle seemed a distant memory. Surrounded by whispering winds and the gentle hum of reclaimed technology, he sat on a weathered bench, his eyes fixed on the tranquil view. In this serene sanctuary, Marcus allowed himself to grieve. The memory of Shadow, his loyal companion whose loss had ignited his rebellion, was tender and piercing. He recalled the soft purr of contentment in the moments they had shared, the silent bond that had given him strength. A delicate holographic memorial flickered nearby, a tribute crafted by citizens whose lives had been touched by his crusade. The images of Shadow intermingled with those of past heroes, a collage of sacrifice and hope. Marcus's heart, heavy with the weight of his journey, began to ease as he reflected on the true cost of justice. In the solitude of the starlit digital night, his inner dialogue softened. Honor and dignity can rise from loss. I must carry this light forward. The pain of the past mingled with a quiet determination, a resolve to honor every sacrifice by nurturing a future where compassion reigned. The rooftop became a sacred space, a moment of emotional closure that merged personal sorrow with the broader promise of a better tomorrow. As dawn broke over the transformed city, a subtle hum of anticipation filled the air. Marcus joined a gathering of diverse citizens and former allies in a newly liberated community center, a place where screens no longer displayed propaganda, but instead shared stories of hope, courage, and reform. In the soft morning light, groups huddled around interactive digital maps, tracing out plans for rebuilding not only physical spaces but the very fabric of their society. In a hushed yet resolute tone, Marcus addressed the assembly. "We have reclaimed our streets and our spirit, but the war against injustice is far from over." His words resonated deeply with those around him, many of whom had faced betrayal and loss at the hands of a corrupt system. Among the crowd were ex-military personnel, ethical hackers, and everyday citizens united by a single purpose: to dismantle the old order and create a new one based on fairness, transparency, and mutual respect. Yet, even as hope began to swell, lingering tension stirred beneath the surface. Whispers of further challenges, hidden factions, rogue AIs, and remnants of authoritarian control suggested that the battle for justice was an ongoing struggle. In a quiet corner, Marcus exchanged determined glances with a trusted ally, a former detective whose investigative instincts had helped expose the deepest layers of corruption. "We may have won this battle," the detective murmured, "but tomorrow's fight will be even tougher." Still, in that moment of unified purpose, every person in the room felt the stirring of a movement, a dawning revolution built on human ingenuity and the unwavering desire for a better future. The sunrise cast long shadows over the city, symbolic of the challenges ahead, yet also illuminated the path toward enduring change. Marcus knew that as long as hope and resilience thrived, the quest for justice would continue, and every new day would bring the promise of renewal. In the soft glow of dusk, Marcus found himself drawn to a secluded memorial garden perched atop a renovated sky bridge. Here, nature and technology melded seamlessly, a cascade of bioluminescent vines intertwined with holographic displays, projecting gentle images of past heroes and lost companions. As he walked slowly along a winding path, Marcus's heart ached with both sorrow and pride. In a small clearing, a delicate hologram of Shadow flickered into view, the faithful companion whose loss had ignited his crusade. The garden's tranquil atmosphere, punctuated by the soft murmur of wind turbines and distant city sounds, offered him a moment to breathe. He paused, placing a hand on a smooth, polished stone engraved with the names of those who had fallen. "Your spirit lives on," he murmured, his voice barely audible yet resonating deeply within the quiet night. This was not merely a tribute to a loyal friend, it was a celebration of the enduring human spirit, a reminder that even in a world rebuilt from the ashes of corruption, hope and resilience could flourish. As the holograms dimmed and the stars began to shine over the futuristic skyline, Marcus sensed that this peaceful interlude was only the beginning. The city, now pulsating with renewed life and reform, whispered of uncharted challenges beyond its neon borders. In the reflective silence, he recalled fragmented conversations with new allies, visionaries, ex-soldiers, and even reformed AI, each hinting at deeper mysteries and ethical quandaries that still lay ahead. "We've shattered one chain of oppression," he thought, "but many more await our resolve." The future loomed vast and uncertain, a tapestry of possibilities woven with both hope and caution. With each passing moment, the promise of a better world stirred, a world where technology, trust, and human ingenuity could combine to face the unknown. In that lingering twilight, Marcus's eyes met the horizon where the first light of a new day broke through. He reflected on the journey, a path marked by hard-fought battles, unexpected alliances, and heart-wrenching losses. "Our strength lies not just in our power, but in our capacity for compassion and moral choice," he whispered, a mantra born from years of hardship and hope. The legacy of his struggle, etched into every street and every rebuilt community, stood as a testament to human resilience. Amid the endless stars and futuristic vistas, the spirit of humanity shone brightly, a resilient beacon in an ever-changing universe. With a final, determined gaze, Marcus vowed to carry this light forward, ready to face new adventures and forge a future where the human heart remained unyielding in its quest for justice and freedom.